At stake. It's Kildare versus Down, and that game is coming up at 3:30. And at this point we're going to hear from the Down manager, that's James McCartan, and he is no doubt hoping to guide his county into this year's All-Ireland final. He's been talking to Marty Morrissey.
James, welcome back to Croke Park. Are you nervous? Are you anticipating a really tight match here?
Yeah, we're nervous, but we're just looking to get the game started at this stage. Look, we've been waiting for a month now, and we're just glad to get on with it.
In terms of your team selection, we knew that Ambrose Rogers was out, but you opted for Peter Fitzpatrick.
Well, Pete's been doing it in training, and he's had a lot of outings there. He was outstanding for the under-21s last year, so he was the first man in to deserve a chance. There
was the option, of course, of moving Dan Gordon out from full-back, but you didn't go for that.
No, we didn't go for that, Marty. Not yet. It's early in the day.
Was that because of the performance early in the championship where the full back line were a little bit exposed?
Well, look, Dan's gone back there and he's improved slowly each game. He's not claiming to be the finished article, but he's quite happy back there. And look, it's something we've decided to stick with, and hopefully it'll be the right decision.
It's a very interesting, not alone match, but indeed along the sideline, because of course you know Kieran McGeeney and Aidan O'Rourke quite well as well from Queen's. Does that add an extra sparkle for you?
Not really, because it doesn't matter who will be along the line. You have very little input apart from substitutions, so we'll probably have a pass and shake of the hand and a nod every now and then, but there'll be nothing else other than that.
Looking forward to it?
Nerves are jangling a bit, so yeah, we just want to get on with it.
Well, the very best of luck, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks,
well done, James.
James McCartan, Down manager there, of course. Now let's get the thoughts in some detail from the panel on these two teams and some things to watch out for. Now, Pascal, you've been looking at Kildare's forward play.
I've indeed, and I mean, traditionally down through the years, their Achilles heel has always been their forward play, and this year I've been most impressed by them. I mean, first of all, they have a shoot on sight policy. Now sometimes it leads to lots of wides. They kick 22 against Antrim, 19 against Leitrim, 16 against Monaghan. But the great thing about them is they're in possession, but they have great mental strength in the sense that even after kicking a wide, these boys have the composure and the belief to go and have other pot shots, and they're kicking some fantastic points, some fantastic long-range points. They're the highest scorers in this year's championship with 18.5 points, and this year there's also a greater spread of scorers, not dependent on Johnny Doyle. But the other thing about it is they're also the highest goal scorers out of the last four, and this was the class one of the a lovely dummy by the right foot, with the right foot by James Cavan, and he goes around the goalie. But what I was really impressed about in Kildare's forward play was their work rate, the movement, the support play, and maybe there's a bit of Armagh tactics as well, the use of the diagonal ball. But I mean, like I said, they used to average 14.5 points a game. They now average 18.5. John Doyle used to average half their scores. Now John Doyle is only scoring a third of them. They're all ball winners. They're all two-footed forwards, and they've been a very impressive forward unit this year.
I was making the point on the radio programme on Friday, James Cavan, that we saw there in that clip. He played football for St. Jarlath's in Tuam, along with Michael Meehan and fellows like that.
That's correct.
Anyway, Joe, you want to talk about the Down defence and the way they organise themselves?
Well, just, I mean, it's topical. We looked at Dublin last week, and, the big problem that any team faces when they play a sweeper system and a defensive siege is how they counter-attack. And against Armagh, Down had been terrific throughout the league. And then in the League Division 2 final against Armagh, they foundered completely against Armagh's admittedly ultra-defensive system. Armagh really hockeyed them that day, and Down couldn't penetrate. Their next big test was against Tyrone, of course, the masters at it. And for the first 20 minutes in Casement Park, they were brilliant. Mainly, I think, because of their dynamism coming through from midfield. Their full forwards rotated out the field. No one stayed in position. They reeled off 7 points at the start of that match against the Gale. Now, they failed, but again, it was another learning it was a learning experience for them. Against Kerry, they had it off to a tee. The massive pressure they exerted on Kerry from the start. All of those scores that they got in the first half were forced turnovers against Kerry, and then they sprint from deep. Martin Clark involved in almost everything, of course, and the poise that they showed that day, the remarkable poise which we associate with Down teams of the past, and how that manages to come through, I don't know. But this is their key triumvirate here: Danny Hughes, Coulter and Clark, and what you saw there was the terrific movement of the ball, and that's what they need today, to be coming from deep, attacking at speed. Against Kerry, a classic example of the pressure that they exerted was the early goal. They turned Kerry over, and they went for the goal. I mean, whenever McComiskey was being pulled down, he saw that Poland was in position, cutting inside, and they went for the goal. A lot of these players have been very unheralded, but they've come through very strong minor teams, under-21 teams. Martin Clark has made a huge difference to the shape of the team. It's a very transformed Down team, and I think that 1-16 against Kerry signalled us. You know, it was a serious signalling of intent. Now, I mean, you just never know with them, and particularly when they go behind, you worry about them because they're not good in adversity. You know, what they need today is a good start to get out of the blocks quickly.
In a kind of way, Colin, they have proven themselves to be good in adversity this summer because when they went out to the Ulster Championship and lost a game, but they had played quite well earlier on, then we thought maybe that will be the end because they haven't shown themselves to be too keen on the qualifier system apart from that. But they have refocused.
Well, I suppose the first half performance that they gave against Tyrone would have given them a bit of a lift and indicated clearly to them that even though they were beaten, they were on the right path. And I'm one of the people who would think that Tyrone were just as good this year nearly as any time. So when you look back on that Tyrone defeat, Down probably said to themselves, we're not too far away, and they got a couple of easy games then. Now, they had trouble beating the likes of Longford, but then when they demolished Sligo and got into a quarter-final, of course, then they were back in Croke Park and they feel that they play a lot better here in Croke Park.
So similar path to Kildare.
Yeah, they both have gone up ahead of steam now. So, it's two juggernauts colliding.
It's interesting, their patch of the Down team just, of course, come out onto the field and a great support for them here. And I saw a banner there, up, down. And I remember the first time seeing that in Croke Park was at a match here. Down were playing in the 60s. It's good to see them back in a way.
That's before my time, Michael. Sorry, I have a good memory. They have, and like Joe says, they have that swagger and belief when they do come to Croke Park. They're not afraid of anyone. And certainly, I mean, the way they took the game to Kerry in the opening 10-15 minutes the last day when they scored 1-3. But it's hard to know to read too much into that Kerry performance because three critical things. First of all, they got the great start 1-3. Then when Kerry were coming back, they got a goal disallowed. Then Kerry came back into the game, and just as they looked like they were taking over, Donncha Walsh gets sent off, and then for the next couple of minutes, if Mickey McVeigh hadn't saved those two shots from Kieran Downey, there's a lot of ifs and buts and whatever like that. So it was a good performance, not as good a performance though as Kildare gave, particularly for three quarters of the game against Meath.
I notice Shea Guevara here in Croke Park today as well. Now, next here on the programme, we're going
forward once again to John Doyle, onto his right, calm and composed, and over the bar.
In Kildare we don't get too many occasions to stick out the flags, and okay, it has improved in the last couple of years since Kieran came on board, but there is a bit of hype and people are talking about it, and I suppose in that respect it's good when people are fed up talking doom and gloom, and it's nice to have the football to turn to, and that brings a bit of excitement to the place.
Hughes in towards Benny Coulter for goal!
There's boys who've been there 4 or 5 years. You've Big Dan, Danny, Ambrose. As I say, the last couple of years we have been weak mentally, but I suppose the Donegal game at the start of the year was tight, and we came out on top.
The Louth game was a tough game. We knew it was going to be tough. No, it was one of those games. Louth went on to show that they were a very good team, and were very unlucky not to be Leinster champions.
I think we actually got Kerry at a very good time, where they were out of football for 4 or 5 weeks. They were missing arguably their two best players, in Tomás O'Shea and Paul Galvin. But we went up and we fully expected to win.
When you look back, and we went to Derry on numerous occasions and came away with defeated and badly defeated, and when you go up there and get a win, it builds confidence, and all of a sudden lads are thinking, maybe we have something here, maybe we're not as bad as we were in the first game or throughout the league.
I might never get this opportunity again to get to this stage. It took me 11 years to actually get to the semi-final, so I'm just going to give it my all.
From here on in, we've got to get over the next hurdle, and it's going to be a big hurdle, and maybe the bit of hunger might get them through, and it's going to be tough, but we're delighted to be there, and it's a great occasion for us.
It's a good possibility that I'll never get to this stage again, so I'm really going to make the most of it, and I'm hoping we can be victorious, but I really am going to give it my all.
Yeah, we're going to take a short break here on the programme. Back with more in our build-up to this All-Ireland Football semi-final straight after that. To this year's All-Ireland Football semi-final. This is the Kildare team coming out onto the field, and still no absolute confirmation, but we understand that Dermot Earley won't be starting the game, but that has not been confirmed.
Impressed with that, Kevin McStay.
Well, you sure do, and Doyle and Smith in their own right, fine players. But I want to have a look at Eamon Callaghan from Kildare. You know, plays anywhere, plays everywhere, as they say. He's going to be one of their key players. Guys in that line, the main guy perhaps is Marty Clark, Down's playmaker, and I would say the principal reason they're in this game today. Back from Oz, as we know, he is the difference, his all-round game and his scoring prowess. Down's top scorer, 13 converted frees, 445s Marty, 5 points from play and a penalty thrown in for a bit of fun as well. He's got a beautiful